This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be a little bit different because it's more of a story time. I want to share my language learning goals for you for 2024 and one new language that I started learning a few weeks ago. If you're not very familiar with my language story, I have studied a lot of different languages over the years. Originally, I'm from Russia, so Russian is my native language. When I was around 12 years old, I started learning French, and that was actually my first foreign language. And I feel like at the age of 15, my French was pretty good. And that was probably the time when I started learning English very seriously. In reality, I was introduced to English when I was only 6 or 7 years old, but I never paid attention in class. I just studied English as a subject in my school. When I turned 15, I started watching vlogs by American YouTubers on YouTube, and that's how I fell in love with English. I was like, oh, it's like watching this show about American teenagers, but it's all real. It's like real people, real YouTubers sharing their life, sharing things about living in the States. And I was in love. Immediately I was like, oh my God, I love those people. I love their videos and I want to learn English. When it was time for me to choose the college I wanted to study it in, to be honest, I was thinking for a very long time because I was only 17 years old. And I think it's very hard for a 17-year-old to know what they want to do with their life. And I was like, I like languages. I guess I'm gonna go study another language. And I chose Chinese. Yes, the Chinese language was actually my major at university. My whole program was called Asian Studies. And so the Chinese language was the main subject for me. I feel like every single day I probably had like 3 hours of Chinese every single day, a lot of classes, and I was exhausted. Even though it was pretty challenging, it was actually something that I wanted to study because I love languages and I figured, Chinese is a pretty difficult language, so it's better if I learn it while in college because this way I can ask for advice, I can talk to my professors and hear what they have to say about Chinese. My college experience was pretty interesting because at one point I realized that, I didn't want to study Chinese anymore, or there was just something missing. I don't want to say that there was something wrong. No, nothing was wrong. I was more like, okay, I turned probably 19 or 20 years old and I was like, I kind of want to do something else. And remember when I was 15 years old, I fell in love with YouTube and American YouTubers. And when I turned 20, this desire to start a YouTube channel was so strong. I was like, I really want to start a YouTube channel. I really want to make my own videos. And I was thinking, what can I make them about? I couldn't speak Chinese that well yet, even though by that point I've been learning Chinese for 2.5 years, and I decided to start my first YouTube channel and talk about English. So this is the channel you're watching right now. Originally, the name of this channel was English with Veronica Mark. Then I changed it to Veronica Mark, and now it's called Veronica's Language Diaries because I feel like right now I want to talk about a lot of different languages because my life is not just English, and a lot of advice I'm sharing with you here, tips, advice connected to language learning, you can apply to so many different languages, not necessarily to English. So if you feel like it, please share what language you are studying in the comments. I feel like it's going to be very interesting for me and for everyone else to read all of these comments and see what languages people are learning. So at one point when I started my YouTube channel, my channel started growing because I started treating it as my job from the very beginning. I always say that if you want to make something your job, you have to be very serious about it from the very beginning, especially when it comes to social media and YouTube. So many people just post stuff just because they want to. But for me, I wanted to post things and make YouTube videos because I wanted to make it my full-time career. Yes, a very ambitious plan if you take into account the fact that I was from Russia, I lived in Russia, my native language was Russian, and I wanted to speak English on camera. Can you imagine? I was pretty brave. Then when I lived in Turkey, I decided to start my vlogging channel, my second channel, and I think the original name was something like Veronica Mark Vlogs. And then I realized that I actually wanted to stop making vlogs Because there were two reasons. The first reason is it is hard to grow your YouTube channel if you only make vlogs. Like, you really need to know how to make them so that the algorithm picks them up and people start watching you and enjoying your vlogs. But the second reason was a lot more important for me. I realized that I was sharing so many things about my personal life, and I kind of felt uncomfortable. Right now, every single time I sit down and film a video, I try to be honest with yourself, of course. But in the past, I was sharing so many things that I felt like I didn't have my own personal life. And of course, I didn't want to start lying and then put all this on the internet. So for me, I decided to just stop making vlogs whatsoever. And to be honest, I feel very good about this decision. I feel very happy. I truly believe that it was done for the best. Throughout this journey of learning foreign languages and creating 2 YouTube channels, at one point, I had to work on my own website. Fortunately, it was very easy for me to create my own website because I use Squarespace. On Squarespace, you can choose from a variety of professional templates tailored to specific purposes. You can customize the look, update content, and add features to suit your needs. As you can see, I can completely transform my website in just a few clicks. Squarespace's fluid engine makes it simple for everyone to unleash their creativity. Just start with a top-notch template and easily customize every design detail using intuitive drag and drop technology from both desktop and mobile. I would say right now let's add a few pictures and information about myself. Squarespace also offers powerful blogging tools, and I think this can be very beneficial for language learners. Journaling helps me a lot when I'm learning foreign languages, and if you can blog about it, it's even better. This way you can organize everything pretty nicely, you can practice the language and share your experience with the world. So if you want to create your own website, head to squarespace.com/Veronica to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The link will be down in the description and the pinned comment. In 2022, I moved to Mexico and I started learning Spanish. To be completely honest, I didn't start learning Spanish like right from the very beginning. You know, I moved to Mexico, I was super prepared, I was already learning Spanish. No, I was pretty lazy, and at the beginning, because I live in Mexico City, there are a lot of people here who speak English, and I was more like, you know, let me just speak English. English is enough for me right now. But then I realized that for me to truly feel like I am a part of this place, to truly learn more things about the culture, I had to learn Spanish. Like, there's no other way around it. A very important thing to know here is that I didn't make myself do it. I wanted to learn Spanish. Like, at one point, I was sitting in my apartment and I realized that, okay, today is the day. I actually want to learn Spanish. I feel excited about this language and I feel like I can do it. Ahora creo que puedo hablar español con mis amigos aquí en México y para mí es perfecto. Por supuesto, es muy importante para mí mejorar mi español porque hay muchas palabras que no conozco y sí, la gramática es muy difícil a veces, pero me encanta este idioma y para mí es muy importante hablar español, estudiar español porque vivo aquí en México. I had to change the position of my camera a little bit because the sun moved, but let's continue with my story. So December last year, 2023, I was thinking about my language goals for the upcoming year, for 2024, and I realized there was one goal that I really wanted to accomplish in 2022, but I never did actually, because I think I completely forgot about it. The goal was about learning the American Sign Language. Yep. And a few days ago, I had my first class and it was great. I really liked it, and right now I know how to show numbers from 0 to 10, and also I know the whole alphabet. For example, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Of course, I'm still at the very beginning of my journey, but so far I really like it. It's definitely something completely new to me, and my goal for the next 3-4 months is to have my first mini conversation, obviously without using my voice, only using my hands. I was always fascinated by sign language, and I knew that at one point I would want to learn it, but what changed for me in 2022 is I was on a plane from Mexico City to Cancun, and there was a couple, a deaf couple, sitting next to me. and they were so much fun to talk to. They were extremely extroverted, and of course back then I didn't know any sign language, so we just communicated with our phones, we would text some words and this is how we would communicate. And at that moment I realized that first of all, I was very clumsy with my hands. Like, believe me, it took me a lot of effort to learn the alphabet of the American Sign Language because this was very hard for me to do. The letter D was very hard for me to do because my index finger was not that flexible. Yeah, and when you count, this is 6. And this ring finger for me is always falling down. So I'm like, no, just hold it straight. I guess I'm sharing all of this with you to show that I'm a human being too. And I struggle sometimes too. And if you're struggling with your language learning sometimes, it is totally okay. Sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes we can't do a certain thing from the very beginning. Sometimes we need a little bit more time to practice the accent or perfect this one specific pronunciation rule. We're all different, and that's where the magic is. So thank you so much for being here all these years, for watching my videos and learning languages with my help. I really appreciate it. If you feel like it, you can share in the comments what language learning plans you have for 2024. I feel like it's going to be very interesting for me to read all of your comments. If you want to build your own website, don't forget to check out Squarespace by clicking the link in my description and in the pinned comment. Head to squarespace.com/Veronica to save 10% off on your first purchase of a website or domain. If you're thinking about what to watch next, you can click right here and continue by watching this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you there.